Nah, it'll help you out. Rest assured, women have no doubt. Pillow talk, dinner talk, give you the info to walk the walk. Now, sometimes it's a foreign language, now know what's up, don't mistake it. This'll help you every situation, empower yourself, it's liberating, yeah. Communication, don't need no speculation, just get that clarification, then reconciliation. Man translation, yeah, man translation, yeah.
What's up, people? Welcome back to another Sunday of Man Translation, where we decode and translate relationships and bridge the gap between men and women. We are the mother and son dynamic duo. I am Sky Chase, the CEO and producer, and this is Dante V, our relationship and communication strategist. So, what's up, y'all? What's been going on? Mamas, I know y'all happy. School about to start tomorrow for some of the children. Them children going back to school. Bless God, all miles is grown. Woo, child. I'm going to get a shirt that say, I survived 4. How many of you survived? What's up? Yes, it's going to be a very interesting conversation today. So, like, share, invite, come on in the room. Come on in the room, because we're going to be talking about a good one. I'm probably going to get heated. I'm going to get heated. I'm going to tell y'all now. I got my camouflage on. It's about to be on and popping. Dante is a veteran. He used to be in the Marine Corps, so he's going to weigh in heavily on the conversation. Yes, because we keep trying to push our job off on other folks.
Ooh, yes, Lord.
I don't know if many of you know, but today was go to the movies for $4 today. I think today was National Go to the Movies Day or something. And, I had to really pray before I went to go see The Sound of Freedom. The Sound of Freedom is about, a very serious issue. I was really thinking twice about whether I wanted to go see it because of the way that I'm wired, the way that my gift is wired. I pick up things and I see things that other people don't see and pick up, and I carry things in a different way. So, and I'm very sensitive when it comes to things of children. I don't like when people bother children. I grew up, watching kids get mistreated. I was mistreated as a child, and I just don't like when people do stuff to kids like that. If that is going to like completely set me off and make me put my camouflage on and kick some spiritual butt, and if necessary some natural butt, you know what I mean? And so when it first came out, I really didn't want to see it. I didn't know how I was going to react. I didn't know what they were going to show. I don't want to see kids being abused. I didn't want to see that. I don't want to see that. And I thought that's what the movie was going to be about. So I took the time out. I prayed. I spent time with God. I got prayed up, and I got up the courage to go and see it. Thank goodness they did not show any graphic, abusive things being done to children. They did it in a very tasteful, way. So basically, what it was a call to action. It was a call to action. I have been an advocate for lots of things since I was a teenager. I've been an advocate and I've been a voice for the voiceless pretty much as long as I can remember. And so I think for me, I'm always looking for a cause. I'm always looking to get behind something and, put my efforts, my energy, my intellect, and my expertise to it. And I think that I left out the movie saying, okay, what can I do? How can I lend myself to this cause, which is human trafficking? The sad part about of America is the number one country for human trafficking. The number one. And Texas is number 4 on the list of states where human trafficking is concerned. It is absolutely unacceptable. It is absolutely unacceptable. And so earlier this week, it popped up in my feed. The people in the church are fighting about covering. And I was just like, okay, I just don't believe in coincidence. I believe that everything that pops up and gets your attention and that blinks at you like this, you need to pay attention to. So I was like, okay, what is it that I know about a covering? And the thing that came to me was, the time that I spent being married to a Marine and, helping him study for his tests. In the Marine Corps, you come in 2 ways. Either you come in from the bottom and you work your way up, or you go to college and you come in as an officer. So
That's
the
true.
ones that come in from the bottom and work their way up, they have to train the ones that went to college and come in as an officer.
Oh man.
Am I telling the truth, Dante?
Not only are you telling the truth, like some of the most frustrating times you have to deal with. It's like the janitor having to train the CEO or the deputy on how stuff works. It's like you're the one with the degree. You're the one that went to school. Why am I training you? And you make so much more money than I
More
do.
money, yeah. But
But
it's the
because
ones
I've
that,
been down,
yeah, but it's the
but
ones that come in with no degree that have the experience that know everything. But they have to train the officers that have rank over them. So I want to take a tactical approach to covering. And I don't really want to talk about covering as far as the church is concerned, because I believe and I was raised to believe that everything starts at home. Everything starts at home. So I want us to talk about a covering as far as our families, because we are at war. And I don't know whether y'all realize it or not. I don't know whether it has occurred to you, but let me be the first to tell you, you are at war. And what they want is your children. They want your children. I love men. I love them. I have some amazing relationships with men. But I'm gonna be real hard on the men today. I'm gonna be real hard on the men today, because our first line of defense is the head. If you want to take the family out, if you want to take anything out, you go for the head. How do you kill a snake? You crush his head. Our heads are not in the proper place and position. Therefore, the families are not covered, because the men are running around in the street chasing, being distracted, blaming, pointing finger, doing it. Don't matter whether you're in a relationship with that woman or not. It don't matter whether y'all get along or not. That don't have anything to do with the fact that you still have a responsibility to raise your children. So, men, y'all about to get it today. I love you dearly, but so Dante, I want
Mhm.
you, before we get started, I want you as an ex-military Marine, Semper Fi, always faithful. I want you to break down the rank of the military, because we're gonna parallel the military hierarchy with the roles in the family, because it's time for us to get a different perspective about what's happening to us on a daily basis. We're losing our children left and right. They're becoming a casualty of war.
All right, where you want me to start?
I think I,
But
I want you, because you started from the bottom and worked your way up. I want you to
yeah,
start
no,
from
you
the
do. You literally start at the bottom. You have no rank. You are a private. You are at E0. You literally have to work your way up through the ranks. E1,
bottom.
E2, E3, E4. You're kind of sort of in that same bracket, especially the E1 through E3. Like you're in that same bracket. You're just working. You're learning. You're absorbing as much knowledge as you can. Granted, in the Marines, I can't speak for anybody else. All the training is the same until you actually go to school for your job. Um, it's not until you get to E5 you're in charge of stuff. Like E5 is the backbone of the Marines. You got to lead the
Okay.
platoon. You got to
But what is an E5 called?
E5 is a sergeant.
As a sergeant. Okay.
Yes, sergeant is like the most like that's the common rank. That's the one where if you're E4 and below, they're not doing right. They're gonna look for the sergeant. Sergeant is gonna get everybody in order. Of course, everything's delegated down. You got your E6, your staff sergeant. They supervise, like the sergeant goes to the staff sergeant, and of course E7, E8, all that. Like the hierarchy of it all, like that E5, E6, they're the ones that get it done. That E7, E8, E9, they're the ones who've done it. They have the experience. They're the ones that you go to when you actually need. Like I did the research, I can't find it. Let me go talk to them because you will not just randomly just walk up to E7, E8, and just have a conversation. You will get you out. Again, can't speak for anybody else.
So, in other words, you have your commissioned officers and you have your non-commissioned officers. And
Yes.
so the ranking goes all the way up to the president. The president is the commander in chief over
Yes.
land, air, and water. So the land is
Mhm.
Marine, the air is the Air Force, you have the Navy, that's the sea. So you have your private, your first class, you have your lieutenants, your generals. Those are commissioned. Once you get to the general level, they're commissioned by the president. You have your major generals. You have 1-star general, 2-star general, 3-star general, 4-star generals. Those are the ones that are a part of the Joint Chief of Staff that report to the president.
Mhm.
Okay, so we're breaking this all down because we can already show you how this parallels with your family and how your family has to be covered, and how when you are a single woman and you are by yourself raising your children, you have really now stepped into a place of headship, even though you're not really the head. You stepped in the position of headship to cover your children. And a lot of women are, oh, y'all women, y'all not off the hook. Y'all getting spanked tonight too. Because what's happening is women are allowing the enemy to come straight in through the front door. They coming straight in through the front door. Y'all hooking up with people that have been in prison. You hooking up with people that are homosexuals. You hooking up with people that don't have no anything, no regard, no anything for your children. It takes a special man to raise a child that belongs to some other man. He has to be an extraordinary man. So that means he has to be a man and above in order to treat your children like his own. Now, a woman will come in and cover his children and treat his children like their own. But for a man, that's a whole nother horse of a different color. And so our families are not covered. When you're in battle, okay, when you're in battle, your squad has your back. Talk
Huh?
about that, Dante.
No, just like when you're in the trenches, whatever beef you had kind of goes out the window because your life is in the hands of the person next to you, beside you, in front of you, behind you.
Mhm.
Like it has to be tight knit. Granted, yeah, there are some issues, but when you're out there and it's just y'all against them, all that goes out the window. Like these
Mhm.
people, legit, like these are your brothers, these are your sisters. Yes, you gonna fight, But when it comes down to it, all everything is put aside. We're gonna go for what we know, and that's going against the enemy.
In the military, they have what they call camouflage, cover, and conceal.
Mhm.
And so you have to cover, you have to know that the people on your squad, they have your back. That's what it means to
Mhm.
cover. If you look at them police shows, when they get ready to go and do a bust, him and his guy that he has with him every single day, when they go into that house, they don't know what they're going to encounter. But
Nope.
before he goes in, he makes sure that he got a cover, that his officer's going to cover him. And then before they even go in the house, what do? They call for backup. And so we as a culture of people, we're not number one, we're not covering each other, but we're also not covering our children. We're not covering our children. If you don't have a relationship with God, you don't believe God, oh, it's the book of the white man and all this or whatever, you could talk about discernment all day long. But if you have no Holy Spirit, if you do not have the Spirit of God, which is a gift of the Holy Spirit, discerning of spirits is a gift of the Holy Spirit, you're not going to be able to discern. Now, in the movie, he fell for the pretty face and his daughter was interested in being a model, took his children to and left them with a total stranger, and she sex trafficked both of them, and it took somebody else to go all the way over in another country to go and get them. Because we have no discernment. We fall for, oh, he's fine. Oh, he smells good. Oh, he's dressed nice. Do you really think the devil going to appear with a red face and horns? I don't think so. Predators are not going to look like predators. They're going to look like what they look like. It is your job to cover your family. I never understood growing up. My mother would put me on punishment for anything, any little thing. Oh, I washed the dishes. I went to bed. I can't help if your friends came over 1 o'clock in the morning and then wanted to eat and left dishes in the sink. I'm asleep. I get a waking up out of my sleep because, oh, it's dishes in the sink. Okay, well, I was asleep. While you trying to keep me in the house and protect me from what's outside, you opening up the door and you're allowing the enemy to come in. And I see women do this all the time because you're lonely and you want to be with somebody, but you're sacrificing your children to be in a relationship with a man who don't care about you, with a man who don't really love you, who ain't even going to be around 6 months from now. Meanwhile, our children are under siege. They want our children, whether it's the government, giving permission for your child to take and change their sex to something else, or whether it's your child going to school having to share bathrooms with people that's biologically one thing but identify as something else. We are under siege. We are at war, and we are not protecting the thing that's the most valuable thing, our children. So that's why I want to parallel this thing to the military, because that's how important this thing is. I got so much flack when I was raising my children. They thought I was the sister. They didn't think I was the mother. They know where you got these 3 children. These are my children. These are not my little brothers and sisters. These are my children. And so I did not date anybody. I didn't bring any men around my children. I stayed single because it's either I'm going to sacrifice me or I'm going to sacrifice them. And I did not want to sacrifice them, so I sacrificed myself. I made the decision. I brought them into this world. I'm going to cover them. I'm going to put my dreams on hold. I am not going to date anybody. I'm not bringing anybody to my house. My undivided attention, my time goes to them. That's how I spent my time. Oh, you're so beautiful. Oh, you're so intelligent. Oh, why you ain't got no man? Oh, why you ain't this? Oh, why don't you that? Because my children are more important than me having a man. My children are more important than me hanging out at a club. My children are more important than my dreams. They're more important than my education. They are more important than anything because I made the decision to bring them into the world. They have my undivided attention. I was there with them every single day. They didn't spend the night over anybody's house. Okay? Because I had to cover them because my head was gone. And now in this world, all these years, out of all the people that I've talked to, so many people have been raped and molested because why? They're not being covered. My children have a different story to tell. Do you know how rare it is for a child to say they've never been raped or molested in this world? 99% of the people that I talk to have been raped or molested. Do you know how common this thing is and how long this been going on? Because our children are not being covered. They're being sacrificed because you want a man who ain't really a man. You can call yourself anything you want to. But what fruit are you bearing? We are under siege as a family. They want our children. It's time out for playtime. It's time to grow up and get serious. I grew up watching a mother who had a revolving door of men. I refuse to raise my children that way. Boyfriend after boyfriend, marriage after marriage. You ain't spending no time with your children. That's neglect. Neglect is a form of abuse. You ain't spending no time with your children because you lonely and you want to have sex. And mama got needs too. You should have thought about that before you had children. And men, you're not off the hook. Just because you don't get along with your baby mom, you still have a responsibility to raise those children. They need to see an example of what a man's supposed to do. These young boys are growing up. They don't know how to be men. They can't teach themselves how to be men. It is time to get militant about it. We're not even going to talk about a covering in the church. We're going to talk about covering at home.
Okay. I hear everything you're saying. I get what you're saying. Totally understand it, fully. And in some situations, it's hard to raise your child and the mother and or father, depending on the situation, throw interference because they're still upset or bitter towards the person that they chose. So to come around is an issue. The lies that are being told, things like that. So it's in some instances it's hard to raise a child if they're consistently being taken away from you. I'm not saying that this is an excuse for every situation, but it does exist. It is difficult.
It does
It
exist,
is
and
hard.
I dealt with it. I dealt with it too, and I'm dealing with the consequences of it. I also dealt with the consequences of it. I know what it's like to deal with a parent that is not cooperating you can't co-parent with them. They're unreasonable, they're difficult because they're bitter because the relationship didn't work out, and they're using your child as a pawn. Been there, done that, and been there, done that, and your child gets turned against you. But it still does not absolve you from your responsibility of doing what it is you're supposed to do. It still does not absolve you. It does not. I've been there. I've done that. And I know what it's like to watch your child be manipulated by the other parent because they want to get back at you. They want to use your child against you. That's all part of the covering. That's what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? Men have to take the responsibility. The relationship didn't work out, but that has nothing to do with your relationship with your children. You still have to have a relationship with your children. If that means you have to go to court and get visitation, then go to court and get visitation. If she's being
Mhm.
difficult, he's being difficult, been there, done that. It still does not, it still doesn't absolve you. It doesn't. You still have to do what it is you're supposed to do, even under those difficult situations. Because now it's even worse. It's worse now. It's even worse now because our children have no direction, they have no guidance, and they're lost. And when you have a child, when you have a child that's neglected, they become easy prey. It's
Yeah,
easy
because
for,
they're just looking for attention.
yeah, they're looking for attention and they're looking for love. All the stuff that they need to get at home. And it's like, the people in the relationship is like, you're the enemy. No, the enemy is the enemy. I'm not your enemy. The enemy is the enemy. Instead of you coming together to protect the children, because marriage is about a covering over the children. Instead of you coming together to protect the children, you looking at each other as the enemy. No, you're not each other's enemy. The enemy should remain the enemy. But that's not the case. That's not the situation because everybody has a role. So we talked about the rank. Let's talk about the rank in reference to how a family is supposed to be ranked out. So you have your general. Your general is normally your grandparents. They provide guidance, wisdom, and strategic oversight for the family unit. But how many people in the family be like, "Oh, grandma, she old. She don't know nothing." We just talked about how you got one person went in the military and they coming up from the bottom up, and then you got another person that went to college and came in, but you cannot outrank experience. The one that came in from the bottom up has the experience, has to teach the one with the degree.
All right,
Grandparents have
let me go side in
experience.
here.
Go ahead, Dante.
No, and again, I'm just going devil's advocate this thing. Yes, the grandparents have the experience, but to those who say that their experience is outdated, this is a new time. This is a new generation. Now what?
Well, the thing is that the thing that I found, this is what I found in my situation. My grandmother was the one who I defaulted to guide me.
Mhm.
And her wisdom, not only did it carry me, but it still carries me. Wisdom is never outdated. Wisdom is never outdated because when you have someone who has experience, times don't really change. There's nothing new under the sun. Times don't
Mhm.
really change. Just like clothes. The stuff that y'all wearing, we already wore. Y'all think that stuff is new, and it's not new. It's just been recycled and upgraded. So guidance, because what happens is grandparents and people that have authority over you have insight into your life. So that means that they could give you insight, means right now. They can give you wisdom for right now. They can give you hindsight, been there, done that. They can give you foresight for where you're going. That's the guidance.
Okay.
Strategic oversight means that I am the overseer or the covering, but they're not acknowledged that way. And because God is the one who ordained family, he has delegated wisdom to the grandparent for you. And a lot of your prayers are not getting answered because he's already delegated the answer to the person that he gave authority over you in the earth. So you're struggling with no guidance, you're struggling with no wisdom because you're not going to the authority. So in the military, okay, you said the first, first class and up, they go to the sergeant. For what? Guidance. For what? Strategic oversight. For what? The unit. Same thing in a family. If you watch what was the movie with the guy, what was his name? When he was like in foster care and all of that. What was the name of that movie?
Anton Fisher.
Antoine Fisher. Remember, the grandmother was the matriarch of the family. When he went to the house, he had to get the approval of her. If she said it was okay, it was okay. See, we don't have that tight knit family like that where we understand that grandmom is the matriarch of the family because we live in a patriarchal society. But wisdom is never outdated because wisdom has been delegated. If there are things that my grandmother spoke to me that I'm still living in my life. My grandmother literally spoke down the timeline of my life. There are still things that she said to me that I'm still growing into, which means that wisdom don't have no expiration date either.
Mhm.
So, it's not even smart. That's why, like, for me, when I was a teenager, that's why I didn't really go to my friends for advice about the stuff that I was dealing with in my family. Because I had sense enough to know that God had already delegated my answer to somebody in my family, which was my grandmother, which was my aunt, my uncle. So, but what happens is the adversary turns you against your family, that then you think they're your enemy, when in all actuality they're your covering. Why would I go to my friends? You having the same problems that I'm having? How you gonna help me? You not.
No, but that's where the influence is because you're amongst your peers. So because we're alike, because we're the same, let me go and run this past them rather than, because again, for sake of argument, old people, they don't know nothing, they ain't been through nothing, or, how they did it back then is not how we do it now, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, but like you said, there's nothing new under the sun. But people would rather go to their friends because they can relate to their friends more than, that parent or that grandparent. Because for your generation, it was like stay in the child's place. Child's supposed to be seen, but not supposed to be seen or heard or whatever, however that thing goes. So it's like, why am I going to go to you? Because it's not my place to go to you. But I can go to my friends because there's an open door policy with them, and they wrong as hell.
And that's why I really wanted to parallel the military to the family, because the rank and the order is is really the same. It's really structured the very same. And for me, I just didn't look at it that way. I just was like, you don't know more than I do. Just I'm having issues with my mother. I'm gonna go talk to her mother. because the only person that know her better than anybody is God. So I'm not going to go talk to my friends about my mother. They don't know nothing about my mother. I'm gonna go talk to the one that gave birth to her. That's her mother. That's what made sense to me. So that's just me. That made sense to me. And I'm glad I did, because what happened was it caused me to get really close to my grandmother. But see, my grandmother, she was always an overseer. She was always popping up. She was always coming around. She always made herself available. You know, she was always there. I look up, there she go. Then my mother would take me over there with her on the weekends and stuff. So she was a presence. My grandmother was always, she was always there. Was always around. So it was no different when I became a teenager. So the military officers in the family is the parents, not just the mother. Children need their mother and their father. They need their mother and their father, because there are things they're going to learn from their mother that they cannot learn from their father. There are things they're going to learn from their father that they cannot learn from their mother. You cannot be mother and father. I hate when women say, I'm your mother and your father. You're a liar. You cannot be mother and father. You can only be mother, cannot be a father. Because there are things that mothers are going to teach, and things that fathers are going to teach. That's why we have this show. Men think differently. A man knows how to pull things out of you. When you're in the presence of a real man, he's going to definitely pull things out of you that you didn't know you had. He's going to make you bloom and blossom like you're a flower. That's how you know you're in the presence of a real man. You thought you was doing something, yeah, he gonna bring things out of you. You're gonna be better. You're gonna be a whole different person, a much better person, and vice versa. It goes both ways. So your parents are there to make those crucial decisions. And see, because we and I'm guilty of getting married too early, getting married too soon, and don't really understand what the purpose of marriage was, don't really understand how to be a parent, because you grew up in a dysfunctional situation. Now you got to go read all these books and stuff. Now you got to be calling up grandma 1,000 times, be asking 15,000 questions because you done made a decision. You don't even know what you're doing. And you over here praying you don't mess these people up. They ain't got to go to therapy too bad. Because you don't know what you're doing. You don't know.
Ooh,
You do not know.
I'm looking for therapy right now.
You don't know what you do. Because you think love, if I'm here with them, and I love them and I'm here, they're going to be fine. But what you don't realize, what I didn't realize, is that I wasn't their only influence. It's the influences that mold you and shape you. So your parents are those officers that manage the resources. They set the direction of the family, because why? A family should have a mission. You have children. What is the purpose of your children? Do you know what your children's purposes are? Do you know what your children's callings are? Do you know what their gifts are? Do you know what their talents are? Do you know what it is that they're supposed to be doing? Do you know what their functions and roles are within the family? Do you know what they're supposed to do spiritually? Do you know what they're supposed to do secularly or naturally? Do you know how to set your house in order? Or are you too busy worrying about a man that's he fine and he look good and you lonely and need some D? Is that all you thinking about? Or you thinking about what Beyonce doing? Beyonce got a family. She ain't worried about no D. She got money. She ain't worried about no money. You over here fantasizing about what she over here doing, walking around looking like aluminum foil. What are you doing? What is your family doing? Her family covered. Is your family covered?
Loves me at aluminum foil. I'm sorry.
She got her daughter on stage working. What your kids doing? Oh, this gonna be tight, but it's gonna be right, because our children are now collateral damage in this war. that's going on that don't nobody seem to understand that is going on. The non-commissioned officers, these are the older siblings. The older siblings are supposed to offer leadership and mentorship and support the younger family members. why, are you, why are you making that face, Dante? Because why? This ain't the case, is it?
No, not at all. Off leadership?
That's
What?
why we're talking about it. This
You're
is
gonna
why
lead them astray.
we need to know. Now, after the day, you're going to be responsible. Your older siblings are supposed to offer leadership because why? They've been in the family the longest. They've been with mom and dad the longest. They know what the rules are. They know what the instructions are. They know when the little kids get out of order, how to put them in order when mom and dad is not around. Nobody is saying, "Oh, well, these are not my children. Those are your children." Nobody never said they was your children. This is the role of the older siblings. They are the non-commissioned officers. We already talked about those roles as far as parallel with the military. They're supposed to offer leadership. But see, if the breakdown and the father is not in position, if he's not in position as the covering, everybody is displaced. Nobody is now in their rightful place. Nobody now knows where they belong or what they're supposed to do. You don't just have children just to be having children. I remember for me, I went to God. I'm like, Lord, what these children supposed to be doing? I went to God and I prayed. I asked God, what were their callings? What were their gifts? What are their talents? What are these children supposed to be doing? Because how am I going to lead them and guide them if I don't know? God revealed to me what their callings were spiritually. I knew what their gifts were, their talents. So that allowed me to know what schools to put them in. That allowed me to know what programs to sign them up. It allowed me to know how to lead and guide them according to the purpose that they were placed on the planet. They knew exactly what they were supposed to be doing. They knew exactly what their roles were supposed to be within the family. They know what their spiritual callings are. I have 4 children, and all 4 of them know what their spiritual callings are, including Dante. They know exactly what they're supposed to do. Because why? Because there's a rank, a order, and a file in every family. In every single family. And so, because now I was a single parent, now I had to go and get mentorship from, some of the brothers in the church. Had to, step up to the plate after I vetted them. But some of them I had to get rid of because they were trying to get with mama. But that ain't what you're here for, bruh. Deuces, you got to go. You are here for mentorship. You're here. Okay, open the door. Close this door. That's divine. That's divine. You're here for mentorship and leadership. Stay right there. Talk about that, Dante.
Hold on, I'm trying to figure out what just happened.
Talk about it.
Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what just happened. But yeah, supposedly the older sibling is supposed to be there for the mentorship role, but also with that being said, a lot of the information is not passed down from the oldest down to the youngest. So it's the thing.
Sit right here. Sit on my lap.
She don't even laugh.
Sit right here. Sit.
Yo,
What's it
yo, hold up. What,
What was we just talking about? The older sibling. That's
what up,
my
man?
oldest son. That's my oldest son.
Where you been?
What's up? What's up?
Say what's up, y'all. He just
What
lost.
it is, man?
Running and gunning, man. Running
What,
and
in the
gunning.
show early?
I know, right?
Running and gunning.
Just keep.
I gotta go to Phoenix tomorrow, so I'm just on the move. Just on the move.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
This is definitely a surprise of sorts.
I know.
I was in the neighborhood, and the father said, "Come."
Amen. So we're gonna end the show early. I gotta talk
Yeah,
to
we're
my
gonna end it
son.
early. Yeah, this is
Close us out. Close us
I don't
out.
even know what to say. Listen, this is a small family reunion. Yeah, part 2 next week.
Part
We
2 next
appreciate
week. We
y'all.
guys
Very,
continue
very, very sorry about it, but this is
family
yeah,
reunion.
yeah.
Deuces.
All right.